the why do people gravitate so much to something like fantasy, and stuff that's not real?
Okay. Well, it's because the basics of life are just too daunting to entertain. I mean, really, you think about what when you're born. I think of it. It's kind of like let's say you had a parachute on, and somebody threw you out of an airplane, right?
Yeah.
Well, you got the chute on, but see, and let's say you're asleep when they throw you out. If you wake up and you pull the cord before you hit the ground, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But if you don't, you're going to drop to the ground and perish. So, people are born into a situation like that. Nobody asked to be born. I mean, I did. If I asked to be born, I don't remember.
Yeah.
So you don't ask to be born. You just pop up here, and then you immediately when you're born, you're thrown into, even though you don't realize it, you're thrown into an ongoing, perpetual, eternal power struggle.
Okay.
So, you start, and when you're a child, you learn, that you adopt your parents' approach to life and things like that, and they're not denying, the harshness, of our basic existence, but they're still avoiding thinking about it. So you have to, I think that when you indulge in fantasy, it's kind of a substitute for peace. And when I say indulge in fantasy, most fantasies are going to turn out to be harmless. But the ones that are not are the ones that involve survival topics, picking leadership, determining what leaders are going to do, and what the basics of what people have to do to survive. Now, if you fantasize these, you even may not you may not even be putting yourself at a disadvantage, determining on what you want to do with your life, right? If a person wants to just live, reproduce, and be as comfortable as possible while he's on Earth, well, fantasy makes perfect sense. Except about every 40 or 50 years. About every 40 to 50 years, the country, the world enters into a crisis period where the harshness of the universe suddenly reasserts itself. I mean, I feel like we're on the eve of something like that happening. Now, at that time, when something like that happens, you actually need to be in touch with reality and figure out exactly why things are happening. And you need to, like if you have to vote for president or a congressman or anything like that. I mean, if you've talked yourself into believing this, or someone else has talked you into believing that there's any other incentive for anybody who approaches government, either as a candidate or as a citizen, or for whatever people approach government for, they're approaching that for personal gain, right? And if you think of like a politician is there for any other reason, you're never gonna pick the right candidate. You probably can't pick a right candidate anyway. But if you take that approach, and it's not conscious. This is something people do without even thinking. If you decide to be a guy is your chosen Messiah, instead of someone who's pursuing his own interest, and it generally comes down to the acquisition of power and gain. I mean, it really makes a difference if you know where people are really coming from. And there is no incentive to serve in the universe. Not that I know of. It's assumed to be present that you're going to have people in large groups that have this burning desire to help society and make people's lives better. I'm sorry, but there aren't any human beings like that. If there were, maybe I could believe that people in government, elected officials, heads of agencies, and things like that, I might that would be fine. I mean, if that was the way the world works. But honestly, that's an imaginary idea. Everybody that gets involved really in any collective activity is doing it for their own benefit.